My ex said, "You'll still drive me 10 hours." Like always, I stayed quiet, remembering every time I carried boxes, paid gas, rearranged my life while she scrolled on her phone. This time I finally said no because the person she feared most was about to answer her call. I honestly don't know where to start with this mess, and I am sitting here at 2 a.m. because I cannot sleep. I have been lurking on this sub for months, reading everyone else's relationship disasters and thinking thank God that is not me. Well, joke's on me because here I am, typing out my own train wreck. My ex Claire and I dated for 3 years. We met during my senior year of college when she was a sophomore. She was this confident, ambitious girl studying business, and I was completely smitten. I am a software developer now making about $78,000 USD, pretty introverted, and she was like this bright light that pulled me out of my shell. We moved in together after she graduated, got a little apartment near downtown Pittsburgh for $1,400 a month, and I really thought we were building something real together. Last year, she got accepted to NYU for her MBA program. It was her dream school, and I was genuinely happy for her, even though it meant long distance. We talked about it for months. She would be gone for 2 years. But then she had moved back and we would get married, buy a house, the whole thing. I was already looking at rings. Guys, I had this whole plan to propose when she came home for Christmas. The distance was hard. We FaceTimed every night, but she was always tied up with classes, networking, or internships. I tried to be patient and even flew out twice each trip, nearly $800, because I wanted to show her I was all in. Then 2 weeks ago, everything shifted. She called late one night, crying, and said she'd been doubting us for months. Living in New York, meeting new people, she felt like she needed to explore who she is and see what else is out there. The part that crushed me was when she admitted she wanted to date other people while finishing her first year. I was blindsided. Just days before, we'd been talking about her coming home in December, sending me photos of her apartment, planning restaurants she wanted us to try. No hint she was pulling away. When I asked if there was someone else, she swore there wasn't, just fears of missing out. Through tears she kept saying she loved me but needed time. Maybe after graduation we could see where we are. I should have walked away then, but I held on to the scraps of hope she dangled. And then came the part that really stung. She'd already booked her Thanksgiving flight weeks earlier and asked if I could still pick her up in Philly and drive her home, then back to New York. That's a 24-hour round trip, hundreds of dollars in gas, and time off work. Something I'd once been excited about, because I thought it meant more time together. Now it just felt like I was her backup plan. When I hesitated, she got upset, said she'd told her parents, made plans with friends, couldn't afford to change flights. Even her mom had texted me days before saying how excited they were to see me, which now feels like a twist of the knife. Claire kept saying things like, "I know this is awkward, but you are the only one I trust to make that drive safely, and my parents would understand if you said no, but they would be really disappointed." She made it sound like I would be letting down her entire family if I refused. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Chen, had always been so welcoming to me. They are traditional but kind people who treated me like family for 3 years, always insisting I stay for dinner and asking about my work projects. I felt completely trapped. If I said no, I would look like a petty person who couldn't do one last favor. But if I said yes, what exactly was I agreeing to? Am I supposed to pretend we are friends? Are we going to talk about her dating other guys during the 10-hour drive back to the city? My buddy Mark, who has been my best friend since college, thinks I am being played hard. He said the timing of her breakup call was super convenient, right after she had already locked me into being her transportation. He thinks she has been planning to break up with me for weeks but wanted to secure her ride home first. But part of me thinks this could be our chance to reconnect. Maybe being together in person, away from the distractions of her New York life. We could actually work through this. Maybe she will realize what she is throwing away. I ended up telling her I would do it, but that we needed to have a serious conversation about where we stand when she is here. She agreed but seemed weirdly distant about it, like she didn't really want to have that conversation at all. Now I am second-guessing everything. I keep going back and forth between thinking I am being a good guy who is putting her needs first, and thinking I am being a complete doormat who is about to get used for free labor. I was completely blindsided. Just days before, we'd been talking about her coming home in December, sending me photos of her apartment, and making plans for restaurants she wanted us to try. There hadn't been a single hint she was doubting us. When she broke it off, she swore there wasn't anyone else, just that she didn't want to look back and wonder what if. Through tears, she kept saying she loved me but needed time to figure herself out, maybe reconnect after graduation. I should have ended things then, but I clung to the hope she dangled, telling her I needed time. She seemed relieved, saying she didn't want to lose me completely either. Here's the part that really messed with me. She'd already booked her Thanksgiving flight weeks earlier, and when we talked, she asked if I could still pick her up from Philadelphia and drive her home, then back to New York, a 24-hour round trip, $200 in gas, and time off work. Before the breakup, I was excited about it, planning dinners and walks around campus. Now she was framing it as a casual favor, even saying her parents would be disappointed if I refused. I felt trapped. If I said no, I'd look petty. If I said yes, I'd feel like her chauffeur. My best friend Mark swears she planned the breakup around this ride, using me as guaranteed transport. And yet, part of me wonders if the long drive could be a chance to reconnect, to remind her what she is giving up. In the end, I agreed but told her we needed to talk seriously when she came home. She said okay, but her distant tone made me think she never intended to have that conversation at all. Now I can tell if I am being a supportive ex, or just a doormat waiting to be used. What would you do? Am I being too much of a pushover here? Should I have told her to figure out her own transportation? I just keep thinking about those 3 years together and wondering if I am throwing away any chance of fixing things. Update 1. Well, Reddit. You tried to warn me and I should have listened. I am writing this from my apartment at 3 a.m. because I cannot sleep, and I need to get this out of my head before I go completely insane. I picked Claire up from Philly Airport on Wednesday afternoon. The moment she got in my car, I knew something was off before. Even during our worst fights, she had always greet me with a hug and kiss. This time, she just said hey and immediately pulled out her phone. The entire 2-hour drive to her parents' house was awkward as hell. I tried to make conversation, asked about her flight, how her classes were going. If she was excited to see her family, she gave me these short, distracted answers while scrolling through Instagram. I felt like I was talking to a stranger. When I tried to bring up the where we stand talk, she brushed it off with, "Let's wait until after Thanksgiving. I don't want to ruin the holiday." I should have seen that as a red flag, but I still hoped things would get better once we spent more time together. Dropping her off at her parents' house was humiliating. Her mom was thrilled to see me, hugging me, and asking about dinner plans. But Claire cut her off, saying I had family obligations and practically shoved me out the door. I drove home feeling like an idiot 3 years together, and she treated me like some random Uber driver. The next morning, she texted asking to meet for coffee. I thought maybe she'd changed her mind, but instead she sat me down at our old Starbucks and calmly ended things, saying we wanted different things and weren't compatible. She didn't shed a tear, just told me she hoped we could stay friends before leaving to help her mom with dinner prep. 3 years together, and she dumped me in under 20 minutes. I sat there stunned. But what came next floored me. The very next day, she texted, "Hey, I know things are weird, but are you still planning to drive me back to the city on Sunday?" I stared at that message in disbelief before sending it to my buddy Mark, who immediately called and said, "Dude, she dumps you and still expects you to be her chauffeur." I told him I didn't know what to think anymore, that maybe she was testing me to see if I still cared about her. Mark was quiet for a minute, then said, "Bro, listen to yourself. She is not testing you. She is using you. She got her ride home. She got to see her family. She got to have her breakup conversation on her terms, and now she wants her ride back. You are not her boyfriend anymore. You are just convenient." That hit me like a punch to the gut because I knew he was right, but I still couldn't bring myself to respond to her text. Part of me was angry, but part of me was still hoping this was all some kind of misunderstanding. This morning, she sent another message. "I really need to know about Sunday. If you cannot do it, I need to find another option." The casual tone of it made me want to throw my phone across the room, like she was asking me to help her move furniture or something. Not asking for a massive favor from the person whose heart she had just ripped out. I finally responded. "I am still processing everything that happened between us. This is a lot to ask." Her response came back within minutes, and I swear to God, reading it made me feel physically sick. Ethan, I understand you are hurt, but I need to get back to school. I cannot be friendly or chatty during the drive. I will probably just sit in the back and work on my laptop. But I really need this favor. Sit in the back. Like I am her personal driver. I screenshot that message and sent it to Mark immediately. He called me and just started laughing. Not in a mean way, but like he couldn't believe the audacity. Bro, he said, she literally just told you she is going to treat you like hired help, after 3 years together, after breaking your heart yesterday. What more do you need to see? And that is when it really hit me. She doesn't see me as her ex-boyfriend who deserves basic respect and consideration. She sees me as a convenient service that she can use and then discard. She is not even pretending to care about my feelings anymore. I started thinking about our entire relationship differently. How many times had I dropped everything to drive her places while she ignored me? How often did I rearrange my schedule around her needs? When was the last time she did something just because it would make me happy? Not because she needed something from me. I spent last night going through our old text messages, and it is actually insane how one-sided everything was. Her messages were always asking for something. Rides to the airport, help moving apartments, picking up her packages when she wasn't home, bringing her lunch at work when she was too busy to leave. Mine were always offering to help or trying to make plans together that she would inevitably cancel or postpone. How did I not see this pattern before? How did I convince myself that this was what love looked like? Mark came over this morning, and we talked for hours. He said something that really stuck with me. She broke up with you but still expects girlfriend privileges. Why are you even considering giving them to her? He is absolutely right. Why am I? Last spring, she asked me to drive 10 hours with my truck to help her move apartments, hauling furniture up 3 flights of stairs, burning vacation days, paying for gas and a hotel. She was stressed, barely thanked me, and a week later was posting Instagram shots from some fancy dinner like I'd never been there. Another time, she had a job interview in Boston and wanted me to drive because she was too nervous. I spent 8 hours on the road, 3 more waiting in the car, while she chatted on her phone about nightlife plans. I felt more like her driver than her boyfriend. Mark finally called me out, asking when was the last time she went out of her way for you, changed her plans, spent money, or did something she didn't want to just to make your life easier. And I couldn't come up with an answer. I couldn't answer because it has never happened. Not once in 3 years. I know what I need to do. I need to tell her I cannot drive her back to the city, but I am scared. Guys. Not scared of her reaction, but scared of finally closing this door completely. 3 years is a long time to be with someone. And saying no to this favor feels like admitting that everything we had meant nothing. But maybe that is exactly what I need to accept. Maybe it really didn't mean anything to her. And I am just the last one to figure it out. I am going to text her this afternoon and tell her I cannot do it. I don't know exactly what I am going to say yet, but I know I cannot keep being her backup plan. Update 2. I cannot even believe I am writing this update, but I need to get this out before I completely lose my mind. The last 24 hours have been a total mess, but I think I am finally starting to see this situation for what it really is. So I still hadn't responded to Claire's text about driving her back to New York. I was honestly torn between what Mark was telling me, that I was being used and manipulated, and this small, pathetic voice in my head that maybe she was testing whether I still cared about her enough to be there when she needed me. Well, that question got answered real quick. Yesterday evening, she sent another text. I really need to know about Sunday. If you cannot do it, I need to find another option. My parents are asking questions. The "my parents are asking questions" part really got to me because I realized she probably hasn't even told them we broke up yet, which means they have no idea she is asking her ex-boyfriend to drive her 10 hours back to school while treating him like a stranger. I finally responded around 9 p.m. I am still processing everything that happened between us. This is a lot to ask, especially given how things ended. Her response came back so fast it was like she had been waiting by her phone. Ethan, I understand you are hurt, but I need to get back to school by Monday for classes. I cannot be friendly or chatty during the drive. I will probably just sit in the back seat and work on my laptop the whole time. But I really need this favor. You know, I wouldn't ask if I had other options. I stared at that message for like 10 minutes. Sit in the back seat. work on her laptop. Cannot be friendly or chatty. She literally just described hiring a driver, except she expects me to do it for free after she ripped my heart out 2 days ago. I screenshot that message and sent it to Mark with just the words, "What the hell is this?" He called me immediately. "Dude," he said. And I could hear him trying not to laugh. "She literally just told you she is going to treat you like an Uber driver. After 3 years together, after breaking up with you on Thanksgiving. I mean, what more do you need to see here?" When it hit me, she didn't see me as an ex who deserved respect, just free transportation, nothing more. That night Mark came over with a 6-pack. And as we went through old conversations with Claire, the pattern became painfully clear. For 3 years I'd been making excuses, convincing myself that dropping everything for her was what a good boyfriend did. Then Mark asked the one question I could answer. When was the last time she inconvenienced herself for you? The truth: never. Our entire relationship was me proving my worth by being useful, driving, hauling, listening, while she gave nothing back. Even the breakup felt less like heartbreak and more like relief on her end. Timed right after I'd already agreed to be her chauffeur. Mark summed it up perfectly. She broke up with you but still wants the perks. She expects boyfriend-level favors while treating you like a stranger. Why would you agree to that? He is absolutely right. Why would I agree to that? This morning, she sent another text. "Ethan, I really need an answer. If you cannot drive me, I need to call my dad and ask him to take time off work." The manipulation in that message is so obvious now. She is trying to make me feel guilty by suggesting that my saying no would force her elderly father to take time off work. Her dad is 58 and retired. By the way, she is also implying that I am her last resort, which makes me feel special while also pressuring me to say yes. But here is what really annoys me. She says she needs to call her dad, but I know for a fact she has other options. She could take a bus from our hometown to New York. It is like a 6-hour trip and costs maybe $50. She could change her flight to leave from our local airport instead of Philadelphia. She could rent a car. She has a credit card and parents who would help her if she explained the situation. She just doesn't want to spend money or deal with any inconvenience. She would rather guilt-trip her ex-boyfriend into spending his entire weekend and $200 in gas money to be her silent chauffeur. I know what I need to do. I need to text her back and tell her I cannot drive her. But I am sitting here with my phone in my hands, and I keep typing messages, and then deleting them. I cannot do this. Sounds too emotional, find another ride. Sounds too harsh. I think it is best if we don't spend 10 hours in a car together right after breaking up. Sounds like I am still hoping to get back together. Mark is coming over in an hour and he is going to sit with me while I send the text. I know I need to do this, but 3 years of being trained to prioritize her needs over my own feelings is hard to break. Final update: well, Reddit, I did it. And the aftermath has been more dramatic and satisfying than I could have ever imagined. I am writing this update because I know a lot of you were invested in seeing me grow a backbone. And holy crap, did I ever. Yesterday afternoon, with Mark literally sitting next to me for moral support, I sent Claire this text. "I have given this a lot of thought, and I don't think it is appropriate for me to drive you back to the city. You made it clear that we are over, and that you cannot even be friendly during the drive. I am not comfortable being treated like hired transportation. You will need to make other arrangements." Her response came within 2 minutes. "Are you seriously doing this to me? I am stranded here." I showed Mark, and he just shook his head. "See how she made it about her? Not 'I understand,' or 'I am sorry for how I treated you.' Just immediately about how you are inconveniencing her." I didn't respond, which apparently really upset her, because then came, "This is so messed up, Ethan. I need this ride. My dad doesn't want to drive, and I cannot afford to change my flight." Still didn't respond. Mark was reading over my shoulder and said, "Keep not responding. Let her show you who she really is." Then came the final message in her trilogy of manipulation. "Fine, be a jerk. I hope you feel good about yourself," and you know what? I did feel good about myself for the first time in weeks. I felt like I had some control over my own life. I wasn't bending over backward to accommodate someone who saw me as nothing more than a convenience. Mark and I went out for dinner and drinks to celebrate me finally growing a pair, his words. For the first time since this whole mess started, I actually enjoyed myself. We talked about normal stuff, his job, my project at work, football, anything except Claire. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, but the real drama was just getting started. I turned off my phone last night because I didn't want to deal with more angry texts, but when I turned it on this morning, I had 3 missed calls and several messages from not just her but her mom too. Here is what had happened. Claire called her dad yesterday evening, crying and asking him to drive her to New York. According to her mom's texts, she told him that I had abandoned her and that she was stranded with no way to get back to school. Her dad said no. Apparently, he had plans to play golf with his buddies today and didn't want to spend 20 hours in a car. He told her to figure it out herself or ask her mom. So Claire called her mom at work yesterday, crying even harder, and asked her to take time off to drive her to the airport this morning. Her mom said yes, but she was confused about why I wasn't doing it since I had picked Claire up. That is when Claire had to admit that we had broken up. But according to her mom's text to me, Claire told her that I had dumped her out of nowhere and was being vindictive by refusing to drive her back. But here is the beautiful part. Claire's mom called me this morning, and I actually answered because I thought she might be angry at me for abandoning her daughter. Instead, she said, "Ethan, honey, I am so sorry. I just heard the real story about what happened." I was confused and asked what she meant. She said Claire's story didn't make sense to her, so she kept asking questions. Eventually, the truth came out, that Claire had broken up with me, not the other way around, and that she had done it the day after I drove 12 hours to pick her up. I told her she made her bed and now she has to lie in it, her mom said. What you did for her this week was above and beyond. And then she breaks up with you and expects you to keep doing favors. That is not how we raised her. And I am embarrassed by her behavior. I was speechless. Claire's own mother was taking my side and apologizing for her daughter's actions. But it gets even better. Claire's mom drove her to the airport this morning, and apparently it was not a pleasant ride. According to a follow-up text I got this afternoon, Claire spent the entire drive complaining about how heartless and petty I was being. Her mom finally told her to stop talking because she was tired of hearing her blame everyone else for the consequences of her own actions. I raised you better than this, she apparently said. That boy spent 3 years bending over backward for you, and this is how you repay him. You should be ashamed of yourself. Claire's mom also told me that she had always worried Claire took me for granted, but that this situation really opened her eyes to how one-sided our relationship had been. She said she used to watch me helping Claire with everything and wonder when Claire would start returning the favor. Now she knows the answer. Never. But the drama doesn't end there. Mark told our mutual friend group about what happened, with my permission. And the story spread pretty quickly. Apparently, Claire had been trying to spin the story to make herself look like the victim, telling people I had abandoned her out of nowhere because I couldn't handle the breakup. But when people heard the actual timeline, that she had broken up with me and then expected me to be her silent chauffeur, everyone saw right through her nonsense. Our friend Jessica texted me this afternoon. Holy crap, I just heard the whole story. I always thought Claire was a little selfish. But this is next level. You dodged a massive bullet. Even better, Claire's college roommate from freshman year, who I barely know, reached out on Instagram to say she wasn't surprised by any of this. She said Claire had always talked about me like I was her personal assistant rather than her boyfriend, and that she had warned Claire she was going to lose me if she kept taking me for granted. The best part, apparently this isn't the first time Claire has pulled something like this. Her roommate told me that Claire did something similar to her high school boyfriend, strung him along for months while she figured things out, then expected him to help her move to college after she had started dating someone else. It is like there is a whole pattern of behavior that I was too close to see. She finds guys who are willing to do things for her, keeps them around as long as they are useful, and then discards them when she doesn't need them anymore or finds someone better. For the first time in months, I am not wondering what Claire is doing or who she might be seeing. I am not checking her Instagram or hoping my phone will buzz with a text from her. I feel completely, genuinely free from her. Mark came over tonight with takeout, and we are watching Sunday Night Football. Simple, but it is exactly what I want to be doing. No drama, no walking on eggshells, no worrying about someone else's mood or needs. Just hanging out with a friend who actually gives a crap about me.